On this episode of A Soul's Quest podcast, we're interviewing comedian Jason Andors, also known as El Tigre Vacano. Stay tuned.
Let's get to it. Let's get to it.
So let's dig in. We want to know all about you. Like Omar said, I've been watching some of your content as well, and it's actually pretty interesting and funny. So where were you born? Where are you from? Tell us about your family, your culture, brothers, sisters.
Born in New York Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. Raised in Manhattan. My mom was raised in Manhattan. My dad was raised in Brooklyn. My mom's parents, I think, were raised in Manhattan. My dad's parents in Brooklyn. Great grandparents from like Russia, Belarus, Poland, that area. So I am an East European Jew.
Okay.
My blood is Jewish.
Right.
So my real last name was Andorsky. So my great grandparents, it was Andorsky, and they changed it in the early 1900s to Andors, because Jews couldn't get work back in the day. But now I'm thinking about changing it back so I can get more work. You know what I mean?
Isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
Going back to the roots. And so you were born in Manhattan. Did you grow up in Manhattan as well? Or was it?
Yeah, I grew up on the Upper West Side until I was 7 on 102nd between Broadway and Amsterdam. And then my parents moved to, I don't want to say the year, but they moved to 89th Street. My mom's still there.
Oh, wow. Rent
control apartment. My dad lives on 90th, a block away, stalking her. But they still hang, you know. They still go out to eat and stuff.
They like each other?
They're okay. Yeah, they're all right. They fight all the time, but there's an attachment there.
That's
a deep
good.
attachment, and probably us, their kids, is probably the main attachment. But yeah, so my dad, they met in acting school.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Yeah, they met, I think it was at Lee Strasberg, I'm not sure. But that's where they met. So my family's been in the arts for a minute, so they were very accepting of me, becoming an artist. My mom.
What did they do?
Say it again?
What did they end up doing artistic wise? What did they do?
Nothing. They ended up giving birth to me and quitting.
I
ruined their lives. Yeah, I ruined their lives.
We're done. Okay.
Yeah, we need to work now and support this little brat. So, so my dad was a diamond setter. My grandfather was a diamond setter. He went to Cornell, and he graduated with I think he majored in chemistry. But they ended up diamond setting. You had to work, whatever. Yeah. So my dad worked with him on 47th Street for years in a little office, uncomfortable office. I worked with them for a little bit, for a minute. I hated it. And then years later, my dad, the business started to go out of business around 1999, 2000. And my uncle invented a dog washing machine.
Oh, okay. Really? That's neat.
Yeah, called Hydro Surge, and you pretty much reuse the same 2 gallons of water, and it filtered it, so you didn't waste water. And then he invented the shampoo and everything. He's a dentist.
Oh wow!
So anyway, it worked on my dog had mange. I had a pit bull. I got a pit bull from. I pretty much moved out. I was living at home until I was like 20. And then I'm like, they didn't want to get me a dog. So I'm like, I'm going to get an apartment so I can get a dog.
Right.
And I was always, whenever I was focused on something, I made it happen, So I left, and there was this hippie that I knew from Central Park. He used to always be at the Sheep's Meadow by Tavern on the Green. And I remember he had this dog. I wanted to get a boxer, and then I see him show up with this little 4-month-old puppy. I'm like, what the hell is that? That's a pit bull. And I always heard pit bulls were the devil,
Right.
This is the cutest dog I've ever seen. It was named Pandora, and I watched Pandora grow up. And then years later, so this was when I was maybe 16 or something. And then years later, when I was 20 and I wanted to get that boxer, I found out Pandora was pregnant. By this other ugly pit bull named Samson. Samson had a huge head, and Pandora was beautiful, so it was like thick. So, and the hippie was like a really big like weed dealer back in the day, like that. That was he made a ton of money doing that. And then so I said, you know what, I want to get one of those puppies. So then I remember we went to the house and I wanted a beige one and I see this little black one staring at me. So anyway, I don't know how I got into this story.
No, go ahead. This is good.
We're talking about hydro surge.
Yeah, hydro surge. That's right.
Yeah, but that little puppy grew up to be a really loyal pit bull. Huh?
Okay. I was going to say, did Samson, the ugly pit bull, and then Pandora make a cute baby?
Oh, yeah. Apollo.
That's how it goes, you know? Ugly.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Cute kids. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I agree.
So tell us a little bit about your grandparents and your relationship with them. I mean, they came from the at that time when they came in, there was a lot of resistance.
Well, they grew up in New York.
They grew up in New York.
My great grandparents, I didn't know. They didn't grow up. Yeah, well, they were born in Eastern Europe.
And what about your grandparents and your parents? That relationship and you growing up, how was that?
We were very close. We would always I was never a religious Jew, but I celebrated the holidays with all of them. Mm-hmm. So we would go to, we'd always use it as an excuse to get the family together, but we wouldn't really do the whole prayer. Like usually it's like 3 hours of prayers. We do like the Cliff Notes.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like the Jews escaped Egypt, let's eat. That was kind of our religion. And I had my bar mitzvah for the cash,
Yeah, of course.
And to make my grandmother happy. So I had the bar mitzvah. We were breakdancing at the bar mitzvah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we had a battle there.
Oh,
nice.
And, so I didn't grow up religious, but I grew up, I claim, I'm proud to be Jewish.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But my heart right now, which we'll talk about later, is somewhere else right now.
Yeah.
I just like, it's really like, I'm New York. That's what I am. I'm New York culture. New York is a melting pot of all cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my religion, is just, I'm everything.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a chameleon. Because I grew up in public schools with everybody.
Yeah. So now tell us about schooling, because you mentioned that you went to all public schools.
Yeah, I grew up in public school system in New York. My brother's young. I have a younger brother that's like 7 years younger than me, and he actually ended up like, this is how Jewish we were. And we weren't religious, but we were really Jewish. There's still like a difference. You know what I mean? Like, we were so Jewish. My parents sent my brother to private Catholic school because it was a little cheaper. So anyway, that's how Jewish we got down. But no, that's a true story. Yeah. So he went there. So I grew up there, and I grew up. I mean, my public schools was very mixed. It's like 30% of everything. 30% white, 30% Latino, 30% black, and then 10% other.
Right.
And I always kind of talk about how I consider myself anyway like an other. Like, I think we're all others. Mm-hmm. Like, when I fill out the job application, I want to check other, even though I've never really filled out a job application, never had a real job. But let's say I was, I'd want to check other, and because like, for example, like if you were like on a plane, we were on a plane, and like in first class, you had like Jen Lopez, Denzel Washington, Jackie Chan, and like Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. And the plane crashed. And we all died. What's the newspaper going to say the next day, right? Tom, Denzel, Jen, and Jackie Chan died in a horrible plane crash, and so did a bunch of others.
So there's a bunch of others, yes.
That's who we are. We're all others.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's interesting. That's a good way.
That's how I feel. I feel like another. I feel like everything. I grew up, I thought I was more Puerto Rican when I was young, and then I became black for a while, and then I feel I'm Dominican now. But yeah.
I love it.
Phases,
What happened with those transitions? Because that's an interesting segue into, okay, how do you become Puerto Rican?
They all are. They all have commonalities, though, big time.
Mm-hmm. But how did you become, like, in your experience, how did you become Puerto Rican at that time?
Because it's blessed, right?
I guess the people when popping came in, when I was popping, I learned how to pop. But that was kind of like, I learned how to pop from actually a black kid at summer camp. One summer, my parents sent me to an all black summer camp.
Oh, cool.
My mom still denies she knew it was a black camp. But, but on stage, like I'll say, like she denies it was a black camp, but I don't know how you didn't know it was a black camp when the advertisement for the camp said Raheem's right on with the fist, Soul Brothers Sleepaway Camp. Like, how do you not figure that out? And
what was that like for you? Just out of curiosity.
Honestly, it was crazy. That camp was crazy. It was a YMCA sleepaway camp. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like listed as an all black summer camp. It was a YMCA sleepaway camp that just happened to be, it was basically 99 point something percent black, because it was me and there was one other white kid at the camp that was like French. And he didn't even no one knew what bunk he was in. He was like homeless at the camp. He was always showing up with like a different pet. Like he had a wild lizard or a snake. No, he always had different animals.
There's always that kid at camp. There's always that kid at camp. They just
yeah. No one knew. It was very weird. And but everyone in my bunk, I was the only white kid in the bunk. I remember the counselor would make us sleep on the floor if you cursed. So I slept on the floor a few times with no cover.
I was going to say, is that where you spent your time on the floor?
Yeah, a lot of the time. Yeah. I remember my friend burned his hand cooking on the barbecue. It was like, fuck, you know? He's like, you're on the floor tonight. I'm like, come on, give him a pass.
He burned himself. Hello.
Yeah. So, and I learned there's a kid named Ronnie in my I would love to find out if Ronnie's still around, in my bunk, who started popping. And he was from the South Bronx. This was like this was the early 80s, you know? And he's doing like a wave, and then he did the heartbeat. He did a bunch of stuff. I'm like, what the hell is that? He's like, it's called electric boogie. So he taught me some moves, and then I got pretty good. And that's when the song Planet Rock came out by of Africa Bambaataa. And I remember there's another kid, and then it was like, that camp was like, seriously, like, it felt like a prison, that camp, not because it was black, but it just felt like the attitude there was crazy. Like, I remember the kid that taught me how to pop had beef with this guy the first day that was messing with me, and he got in his face, like, and he pulled me over. This is how I met him. He pulls me over. He goes, yo, he's with us. It was almost like they put me in their crew on that side of the prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then I'm with them. And then that night I wake up at like 3 a.m. to some sound. I thought it was a sound of like wolves or something. And I look out the window, and they're jumping this dude outside of the camp. This is sleepaway camp. They're beating him down. He's like, yeah, that was from earlier. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, wow.
Oh my God.
So then I'm like, let's just stick with the dancing, you know? So once I started to get good, there was this other kid at the camp that like always wanted to battle me. He was jealous I was getting good quick. I learned in like a week some stuff. So I was in the shower, and he said, yo, get out of the shower, man. I want to battle you. I'm like, yo, I'm naked. Chill, you know?
Wait a minute.
Yeah. So whenever I see like jail movies and stuff, I kind of relate because of that summer at camp.
Jail. Prison.
You know, like I've been in prison for 8 hours once, car accident, story. But anyway, so I learned some moves, and then I come back to 6th grade at IS-44, and I found out my friend Norman, who I grew up with, aka Normski, who was original Rocksteady crew member and Flashdance, the lead of Buffalo Gals video, all that stuff. He was like known for popping in the city. He was one of the most known. I was like, when did you get known? Like in 5th grade, I don't remember you doing this, you know? And then all of a sudden you're known over the summer. Like, what happened? He was always the best athlete, and he was the best runner in New York. Best fighter. You know, now he's the best popper in like 2 months. Wow. You know?
Yeah.
He was dating women when he was 11, 12, full grown, like 20-year-olds.
Wow.
When he was 13, he was sleeping with his 26-year-old manager.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he got busy as a kid. I remember meeting him when we were 13. We bumped into each other, and he had a girlfriend that was probably at least 19, 20 with a stroller and her kid.
Oh, wow.
Like, hey, Jason, this is my girlfriend. I'm like, the things you get away with in the 80s.
The puberty voice.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
The puberty voice.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he was like one of the best. So he taught me more. And that year was when he taped Flashdance, I remember. And then he was a street little celebrity. So I learned, I got a partner named Peter Shorty Shock, and we started a crew called the Rare Pair, because we were 2 Jewish kids that could dance.
Oh, that's cool.
So we called ourselves a Rare Pair. Then I ended up auditioning for the High School of Performing Arts, LaGuardia.
LaGuardia, yeah.
Yeah, I was doing horrible in school. Junior high school, I was failing my classes. I was always great at math, but I was just failing. I was into breakdancing and snapping, like your mother this, your mother that.
Yeah.
My humor came out in 7th grade. My friend Malik, he was the funniest kid in junior high school. He brought out my humor. I was like his apprentice. So that's when my humor came. That's when I realized I had humor, you know?
Right.
Malik brought it out, and I was addicted to getting laughs starting from 7th grade. So
look, can I ask you this, Jason, really quick? Because now you're starting to get into the next stage, which is really awesome about these interviews. It's very natural, the flow. But I have a question for you. When you were younger, before your, when this starts happening for you and your humor starts to develop, what was your childhood? Were you like, did you have any kind of inkling that you were like funny? Did your parents get that from you, or did you just like, you didn't have that experience?
I have no memory of being funny before 7th grade. I just have a memory of always wanting to be different and doing things differently from everyone else.
Right.
Mhm.
Which you definitely did from what you
When I
told
played
us.
sport, I wasn't really into sports.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't a fast runner. I think that's why. Like I had a good arm. Like I could throw a ball further than everyone. I beat everyone in arm wrestling. I got everyone in a headlock. I
Mhm.
had athletic ability, but for some reason I was a headlock king, right?
Yeah.
It's not till you're an adult where you find out regular headlocks don't really work in fights. Like you got
No.
you know,
Yeah, they don't.
work in a jiu-jitsu gym. So I but I was the king of that in arm wrestling.
Okay.
So I'd be good. Like if we played two-hand touch football, whatever, as kids, I'd be the quarterback. I just wanted to do things solo. I got good at tennis real quick.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to be one-on-one. I didn't like teams, the idea of team sports.
Team sports.
If I would have finished college or really went to a real college, I probably would not have been in a fraternity. Like I always liked to be kind of solo. I have a lot of friends, but like I didn't like being part of cliques.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you knew that as a young as a child.
Yeah.
You start getting
What do you think drove that? Because that's a very interesting thing for an artist to develop that and find that at an early age. So what do you think drove that idea of being such an individual instead
of knowing that you get more? I like to get all the credit or all the blame. You know, like when you're playing one-on-one on something, if you win, it's all you. If you lose, it's all you.
That's a good perspective.
You know, and I like that you get more attention too. You stand out.
Yeah.
Maybe I wanted attention. I needed attention. I don't know, but I think I do need attention. I think most comedians need attention.
Yes, that's true.
I guess so. Yeah. I never heard of that either. That's interesting. Yeah. But
Yeah.
so then you're in middle school. You have this little team that you have set up now with the whole snapping and popping. You find out that you're humorous. Okay. Tell us about that. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, I just I don't remember the moment I found out. I just clearly remember Malik was the funniest guy on the planet. You know, anything he said, just the way he delivered it, didn't even have to be written well. You know, he could just be like, your mom throws bricks out the window, you know, whatever. And then you're hilarious. Dying in laughter. You know, and we became friends, and then I just started snapping with him, and then he was laughing, you know, he was giving me props on the stuff I was coming up with. Right. And then I was addicted to beating everyone and snapping. Like I was an asshole. No, I became like kind of an asshole. Like I just wanted to hurt people's feelings to get laughs.
Oh wow.
You know, I mean, people
that worked.
But I wasn't like an evil ass. But I've been saying, you know.
No, but you were saying, I mean, that's what snapping is, right? You take somebody, you find somebody in the crowd or whatever, and you start just doing or that your opponent, right? The person that you're snapping against. Is that how that works?
Yeah, I mean, you know, snap on moms. It's a lot more friendly than walking in the room and snapping on someone's clothes or their hair or all that. Because when you snap it on their mom, you don't know their mom. So it's obviously just stupid and creative and whatever. But when you snap it on someone's looks, like, oh, look at your one arm, whatever, then it's becoming mean. But if you say your mom got one arm and, you know, Flatbox King or whatever, you know, Queen. But you know what I'm saying? It's just, you don't know their mom. You don't even know what she looks like.
Right.
You know, it's funny too.
What she looks like, and she only has one arm and you're snapping on the one arm. Then it's mean.
You know what's funny, because that's I mean, I went to New York City public school, and we used to do that. We used to snap on each other all the time. It was a common sport, but it didn't really get too personal about appearances and looks and things of that nature. It was just kind of like that friendly bantering back and forth. I mean, that's kind of like what it is.
I got in a couple of fights because of snapping. Twice, 3 times. 3 times I got in fights, and what's crazy about these 3 fights was they were always twins.
Really?
Yeah, 3 times. There were twins in my junior high school. I ended up snapping, and then we get in beef and fight. These twins from my Upper West Side, and these other twins from the Upper West Side. From snapping 3 times with actual fist fights from snapping, from me winning.
Yeah. Wow.
They share the womb together. It too close. They share too much.
Yeah. My 8th grade yearbook, under my picture, you have a quote under your picture in the yearbook. Mine was just snapping with a question mark and an exclamation, you know? Yeah, that's all I did. That and breakdance.
So you said you weren't good in school.
No.
And your focus was heavily on the breakdancing, snapping, and things like that. Yeah,
I didn't do well in elementary school either. I was just
Did you just make it?
I'm diagnosing myself now with ADD. I mean, I never was diagnosed with that growing up, but I'm pretty sure I had problems concentrating. I was always the best kid at math since first grade, and I didn't do my homework. I was just good at numbers. I mean, I used to add up. I'd be at the grocery store with my parents, and I would add up the groceries with the tax before the register. Like weird.
Oh, wow.
I was weirdly good as a kid.
That's
Better
impressive.
than I am now. I'm still good now. They always give me the check when we go out to eat. I can tell what everyone owes exactly. You know, I won't pay it. But I'll add it up. Yeah.
You'll break it. This is your portion. Yeah. Percentages.
Yeah, because I was bad in school, I can't afford to pay the check, but I was good at math, so I could add it up.
We need you, and when it comes to dinner time here, because my son somehow slides that check over to us, and we end up paying for it. Not sure why it happens that way, but yeah, you'd be.
You're the parent.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, he's supposed to pay for it.
Yeah, that's it. That's how it is.
So one of these days he'll take care of it.
And I think, my family fought a lot at home. We got a lot of arguments as a kid. I think it was hard to concentrate in the house. So I think I was, I only like doing things, working hard at things I knew I was talented at.
Okay.
Which is surprising. I didn't work hard at math. 8th grade, I was failing all year. I had like a 36 average. I was about to get left back. And we had 3 weeks till the Regents. And he's like, if you don't pass this, you're going to get left back. So I had a tutor for like 5 hours. And then I got 100 on the Regents, I shut everything up and then moved on and never studied math again. Yeah.
Wow.
Failed geometry in high school.
So how did you get
through something? I work really hard at it. Anyway,
okay, gotcha. No, I was just going to say, so you just kind of slid by with school.
Yeah, I just barely got by constantly.
Wow. Okay.
You mentioned about there's a lot of arguments and a lot of stuff happening at the house. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yeah, just a lot of dysfunctional family, a lot of love and a lot of dysfunction.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you said you guys were all really close. Your Jewish holidays were about family and.
Say it again.
No, I was just saying, you said that your family was really close. They made an excuse out of these holidays to come together.
Yeah, I think I was a very angry kid inside,
Really?
How is that contributing to your art form? I mean, one of the things that I hear about comedians in particular is that there's always like the dark side. We hear about the Chris Farleys of the world, the Richard Pryors of the world, and they have that duality within themselves. Do you attribute that to a lot of the stuff that happened to you as a kid?
Yeah, what, the dark side you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you just assume, like you're saying, like I do have a dark side, very dark side. Yeah.
I like knowing about that because one of the things that we talk about here is, you need to know that part of yourself because that part has a lot of stuff to share and teach. And it's like Dionysus, the Greek god that just did whatever they wanted. That's a part of us, and that's an important part of us. But I want to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I don't find the world a great place.
Okay.
I think I have a very sad soul, but I have a good amount of happy moments that keep me from needing antidepressants.
Okay.
But a sad soul. I mean, the goal in life, I guess I would love to have a happy soul and some sad moments. But that's not, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I think a lot of people are like that. But, I meet people that are just happy all the time with sad moments. I'm like, how are you like that? How is that possible?
Yeah.
What makes it so sad for you? That's an interesting
question. I just find the world, I mean, I can enjoy moments, but I just find the world, I see the sadness all the time. And now the internet doesn't help at all. You know what I mean? Now the internet, like we used to have, most people have like a few really bad memories in their life. But now with the internet, like we have everybody's bad memories.
Yeah.
Too many things. It's like, oh, wow, I remember when, Saddam Hussein tortured me. But he didn't. But you watch a video of him torturing someone else. So you just see every memory becomes your own.
Of course.
Like, Jesus.
So, but one of the things that you said, though, is, and I think maybe this is what Omar is alluding to, is that you were an angry child, right? So what were you angry about? How do you?
I don't know, the way you really emphasize angry. Yeah.
Angry. You were angry. I emphasize a lot. I'm Puerto Rican and Dominican. Go figure. That's all I do is emphasize.
That sounds like there's a lot of happiness in those cultures, though.
There is.
A lot of arguing in those cultures.
A lot. We're passionate.
A lot of screaming and arguing, but a lot of partying and happiness.
Oh yeah.
Big party out there.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to say is that as a young child, how do you know that you were so angry? Because that's what you said. You said that you were an angry child. You were angry growing up.
Yeah. I still can't figure out why.
Okay.
I don't know. I
Okay.
was just, I think because my whole family was pretty angry all the time.
Okay.
So it was a very, I don't know. I don't know why I was so angry.
Okay.
I really
Okay.
don't.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Now you mentioned Malik as one of your friends, and you also mentioned the rare pair. What was your boy's name?
My friend Peter.
Peter.
Yeah.
So you had.
He's like art director at Hollywood Reporter now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Nice.
a lot of my friends became, pretty successful. Malik never went into comedy. He's just as a regular job construction, like in Pennsylvania, but he's still all right. He's still good, And I have a lot of good friends from childhood.
Oh, that's good.
I have five of my best friends since first grade are still my best friends.
That's awesome. That's rare.
Yeah.
That's very rare.
That's a New York thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of New Yorkers stay in New York or don't go far, come back. It's just like a New York. It's very rare. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great. We still talk. We all hang out, and
that's awesome.
We don't hang out often, a lot of us, but
that's cool.
One of the things that you mentioned earlier, right, is that being a native New Yorker and in the city, being exposed to all this diversity at a young age. You say you became Puerto Rican, then you were black, and then you were this, and that's like what happens to a lot of New Yorkers, regardless of their race, because it happens to us when you live there. Can you expand a little bit on that?
It made me, first of all, it made me a different type of comedian because I'm comfortable performing in front of any type of crowd. I feel like I can crack edgy jokes about different cultures, but organically. I don't feel like I'm forcing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to being around all cultures. So I know my instinct is there on when I'm going too far or not. I'm not, so that helped a lot. And when I say I was Puerto Rican, black, white, whatever, there were different moments, but it all came to fruition and made me a chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now I'm everything.
Yeah.
But I had different moments growing up where I was maybe hanging out. The B-boy culture was everything. Mm-hmm. Dancing, you don't really think about race anymore. Yeah, people would be like, oh, he's good for a white boy. There was that. Nowadays, I don't think there's that anymore.
No.
Nowadays, everybody, you go to Europe, there's a lot of amazing, the Asian break dancers are insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I still always for some reason, I always found the Puerto Rican ones the best. I don't know why. They were the best B-boys. They had so much flavor and they had that salsa flavor with them,
Yeah.
I don't remember a lot of, I guess there were a good amount of Dominican B-boys back in the day too. Definitely the black B-boys too. They're all, but there's everything now. And it's worldwide. It's become not as exciting anymore, but it's everywhere.
Did you travel a lot for the competitions? We actually interviewed Mighty Max, and he was a competitor at that time, and he mentioned that he traveled all over the place. Did you get that? Did you get to do that as well?
Kid, so when I was young. I was from 10 to 14. There's no traveling.
Yeah.
There was traveling to 99th Street to 86th Street for a battle and stuff like that. I went to people's schools, but I never traveled for it. No, my good friend Justin Bua, he's a big artist. I don't know if you've seen his stuff, BUA. I think your sister knows him. And he traveled. I met him when I was 12 and he was 15. He found there was another white guy that could dance in the neighborhood. So we became really close since then. And I remember he went to Europe and did a whole tour and stuff. And my friend Norman traveled a lot. But I was too young. My parents didn't really want me even going. I was invited to go to the Roxy when I was 13. They're like, nope, that ain't happening. You could go Saturday afternoon for roller skating, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So I wish I did, I just didn't.
Did you have any
traveling with comedy? Say it again.
Yeah. No, I was just about to ask you, did you have during this time when you were in middle school and you were doing all this and you were sort of popular in your neighborhood and you were doing this stuff, did you have any love interests, girlfriends, any?
Yeah, I definitely
did the girls want to be with you too? When
that's why he did it. That's the first motivation is the girls. Come on.
That's why we do everything.
That's easy.
I'm naive. I don't know that.
I'd be in fetal position in my bed waiting to die.
Right?
I'm not going to work. Why would I work? To go take my friends out to a drink? No.
Right. Yeah. And then I have to pay for it? No.
Yeah. No, life is over.
Life is over. So,
Yeah.
So who was there one that that captivated you and you're like, oh, I want her, and then did you pursue that?
When I was a kid, junior high school, I dated different girls. I was popular,
yeah,
My
I
friend
can
Peter was
imagine.
more popular, and then but I was up there,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely got girl. That was a good time in my life. 7th and 8th grade. I was kind of a happy kid then.
That's good.
Breakdancing. I guess let me think about it. I mean, I guess finding something I love doing made me happier because I guess I really felt maybe as before that I felt super frustrated that not even knowing why, just because I'm not doing anything I want to do. I was failing my classes even in elementary school. There was
Mm-hmm.
nothing I loved doing.
Yeah.
Like playing, doing little things, sports or whatever I was doing. Video games I loved as a kid, but whatever. Video games aren't that healthy for the brain.
Yeah.
But finding popping was definitely a nice thing. And then after that, I became a ballet dancer. So that was really
Whoa. Okay,
Hold on. I thought you were telling a joke.
Yeah,
for a
I thought
second.
it was a joke at first. Wait.
I knew you'd be surprised because you didn't mention it at the beginning. You talked about the breakdancing, but
Yeah, the break. But yeah, well, okay. Let's talk about the ballet dancing.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. How did that get
that was a
started?
big part of my life.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, so when I was in 8th grade, I was failing all my classes.
mm-hmm.
And then my dance teacher, we did dance 2 periods a day, like 2 hours a week, I mean, or 4 hours a week in junior high school. But we didn't take the dance class. Like my friend Peter and I just sat in the corner, stood in the corner and practiced our routines.
Mm-hmm.
She was cool with that. She's like, as long as you're doing something.
Yeah.
So finally, I'm like failing. She said to me, she's like, look, the dance teacher was like, look, why don't you audition for Performing Arts High School, LaGuardia? They accept boys a lot easier. So if you have some sort of talent, you have a chance to get in. Like a girl needs to actually really be skilled, but there's not many guys auditioning for dance there.
Yeah.
So think about it. So I got this other teacher to choreograph something for me. This flaming gay dude from Walden High School. My mom found him online, not online. I don't think we didn't have internet then, but she found him somehow.
Right.
And he came, he tutored me for like 5 hours. And he choreographed this routine to audition for Performing Arts. And it was like, I thought it was good then. I was really like, wow, this is a cool routine. But like later on, I realized how horrible it was, but it got me into school.
Okay.
Yeah.
The point is he saw me, he watched me pop and everything. And he saw me doing all these body waves. He's like, that's actually like a jazz move. When you're doing your forward body waves, that's actually a real dance move. So we'll throw 2 of those in the routine, And then he added shaky hands and finger snaps.
And spirit fingers?
Yeah. I never heard spirit fingers, but yeah, I call them shaky hands. Yeah, so he added all this stuff. So then I get to the high school finally audition, and I'm totally embarrassing myself in the little ballet class they gave us up front. I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I'm not getting into school. And then they're like, all right, do your routine. I did it to Shaka Khan, Ain't Nobody.
Oh.
And I started my back facing them. I got my black tights on, my white tight t-shirt, my little baby fat love handles hanging over. I'm in the position, and I start the routine. And all the seniors and juniors would come to the audition to watch the auditioners just to laugh at us. So they're sitting there, which I ended up doing when I was a junior and senior too. I never made it to senior, but I'll talk about that later.
Yes. Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm doing the shaky hands. Oh, so I'm doing the routine. And I got the shaky hands. I did one leg kick, and then I go to the first body wave, and I look over and I see all the students dying in laughter at me.
Oh Lord.
So I'm like, fuck. And I go to the second body wave, and then there's and I totally blanked on my routine because I still had like another minute after that. And I do like the third body wave. I'm trying to remember the routine. I do like a fourth, and then. So by like the 97th body wave, I was like, yo, this shit ain't working anymore. I got to start doing something else. I body waved around that whole room, And so then I just start popping, and going off, and they just stopped laughing. And then it became like real, like, oh wait, this kid actually dances. And I got in all my agile positions, and they saw like flexible. Afterwards, like, okay, that was weirdly surprising out of nowhere. So they're like, so how are you doing in school? You know, they want to know my academics.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you want to know my average? And they're like, no, are you passing everything? I'm like, oh yeah, of course.
Of course.
I had a 65 in every class.
That's passing.
I didn't lie. Yep.
Yeah.
Nope,
Oh,
sure
pass?
didn't.
Yeah. I thought you just want, So then I got in. Shockingly, I got in, and then that was scary. That first day of dance, I knew nothing. And my first dance teacher was Miss Zimmerman. I was in the beginner ballet. They had 2 levels every year, for modern and ballet. Of course, I was in 1. Junior year, I got moved up to the advanced. I learned quick. But freshman year, Miss Zimmerman, old Russian lady, and she was in the opening scene in the movie Fame. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Fame.
Yeah, I did.
There when Leroy and them were auditioning, and she was the old lady. She's like, more energy, whatever. She had a little part of it. They put real teachers in that movie.
Oh, that's
really?
awesome. I do remember her.
Yeah, and then one of my modern teachers, one of the ones I really didn't get along with, was one of the judges sitting there. And then the acting teacher in Fame, actually, it looks a little like you, was Mr. Moody. He was a real acting teacher at LaGuardia. He was the the teacher at LaGuardia too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, so I got in, started ballet, modern and ballet every day. Martha Graham and ballet. I liked ballet more because it's more mathematical.
Oh,
it was more my brain worked better with ballet. Modern was more abstract, but I popped very mathematically too.
Okay.
It wasn't like just improvising everything. I was very square, and I wanted to hit like lines and positions.
Very symmetrical.
That's how I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So modern wasn't like that. Modern was just a lot of odd. And my body was good for ballet, which is rare because a lot of people don't have the right body for ballet. I had the turnout, the flexibility, the line for ballet. So that inspired me too, And by junior year, I got moved up to advanced, and then I went to audition for School of American Ballet, which is called SAB. It's like the best ballet school, not to brag, but it's the best ballet school in the States, really.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's another one nowadays. People argue they're better, but that was like the Harvard of ballet school for kids, It's a school for New York City Ballet. It's at Lincoln Center.
Wow.
It was in the Juilliard building. And so I auditioned, and I remember my friend telling me that he went to SAB when he was younger, but he got kicked out or something. But he's like, you're not going to get in. Like, don't be sad when you don't get in. Like, no one really gets in there. I went to audition during lunch break at Performing Arts. And that's not a high school. That's just an after school. That was just a separate school, just ballet.
Just ballet, yeah.
So I would take class after school, extra class.
Extra. Okay.
So yeah, I auditioned, and everyone was sure I wasn't going to get in. And then there was a new head of the school, Mr. Robert Lindgren, I think was his name. And he accepted me. Right after the audition, he said, so when you're going to start Monday? I'm like, I'm in? He's like, yeah. So I was like,
wow.
I'm so happy to go back to LaGuardia. I walked in with a sad face too.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I told you, bro. I'm like, what did you tell me? He said, I told you wouldn't. I said, no, I got in. He was so jealous and like angry at me for a minute,
Oh,
maybe
man.
forever.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
But then, I got in and I started going there, and I got injured 2 weeks later.
Oh, wow.
These 2 guys were fighting in the locker room. And they had this huge wood bench, like a 60-pound bench, and it wasn't like screwed into the floor well. And they fell over and it slammed on my toe, broke my toe.
Oh, man.
Like, worst pain. It was like 24 hours when you really stub your toe.
Yeah.
Without going away. That immediate feeling.
Rob. Robbing.
Yeah, I'm really stupid. I should have sued the high school. Parents should have sued them.
That's a good point.
It wasn't screwed in the floor.
Yeah. It should have been.
That should have been. I should have had $100,000 from that. But anyway. Yeah. So
Should have.
yeah. So I broke my toe, but I got better after 2 weeks, and then I started SAB for like a year and a half. I got another injury, had to quit. But I dropped out of high school. I was in SAB, and I got a big argument with the dance teachers and everything because I was failing my classes again. I started cutting class. I was going to ballet all the time.
Yeah.
I was failing my academics.
Okay.
Like usual. I didn't go. I cut. My friend Simeon and I were cutting left and right, and hiding in the bathroom, whatever, smoking weed with the security guard at the high school.
Don't you love the public school security guards? Those are the-
Yeah,
man, all you have to do is bring them lunch, and you can do anything you want.
yeah, or bring them a nickel bag, right?
Right,
or a
that's
nickel
it.
bag.
Yep,
Hey.
that was
Yeah.
it. They'll be happy with
That's
that.
hilarious. Okay.
Yeah, so and I ended up dropping out because I got, they brought me in a big meeting with my mom. It was supposed to be just like the head of the dance department, the gray guy, to my mom. But then we show up, it's like 2 dance teachers, head of dance department, the gray guy, the grade advisor, the principal.
Wow.
It was like they surrounded me like almost it was like mental bullying almost.
Yeah.
Like they really like just sitting around me, and I couldn't talk because like you're about to cry.
Yeah.
So like, if you say one word, you're going to start crying. You know that moment? Like you're
Mhm.
just borderline crying.
Mhm.
You want to talk so bad, but if you just say, well, so I'm just like, and I had so much to say to defend myself, but I couldn't because I knew I cried. At one moment, I finally had a moment where the tears took a break,
Mm.
and I said something funny, and the gray guy laughed. And after he said, that was funny what you said, whatever. But they were trying to intimidate me.
Yeah.
To do my homework so I could, pass whatever, but they didn't do it in a good way. I didn't like how they did it. And they're like, yeah, well, you keep failing. You're going to have to, we're going to have to kick you out. And I was in SAB. I was already in the best school.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if you kick me out, I'm already in the best ballet school. I found what I want to do for my job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I already had that when I was rebellious. Like when I had that in my mind, I'm like, I was waiting, and my mom was, on my side, and they're like, you could drop out. You could go to professional children's school. You could get your GED. Professional children's school is like a different school that went around your schedule.
Yeah.
Around like if you dance, they figure out your academics around it. Or you could get your GED. Like,
This is your mom saying this?
No, this is them.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But your mom was supportive of you or of them?
Me.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Not
She had your
mine.
back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like mom should be. Kind of.
Yeah.
Other moms, unless they think you're just an absolute making the dumbest choice. But,
Right. Yeah. Well, which was good. That's motivating for you at that time, right?
Yeah. So they said, and I explained what a GED was, like trying to scare me. It's just a shitty test you take, and then you graduate and then you fail in life, whatever they're saying. I said, that sounds pretty good. I mean, I could just take
He said, "That sounds
Listen,
pretty good.
yeah. It's
Can
an
I
alternative. Wait a
graduate?
minute.
like graduate?
I could be done.
What am I in school for now? I was like, yeah, I like the GED idea. Like, no, we're not telling you to take it. We're just saying, no. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I said, Mom, I'm out. Let's go. Like, you really want to leave? I said, yeah, I'm going to take my GED. Let's get out of here. She's like,
Oh,
okay.
that's awesome.
You're like, no, we were trying to tell you. I'm like, bye. And that's how I
Wow.
dropped out.
Okay.
And I got my GED. I worked at a pool hall for a bunch of years before I didn't get my GED right away.
Mhm.
Okay.
What? So you were still going to SAB, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but then I got injured.
Mm.
Like I was not even 18 yet. I was 17. And then my injuries never got better until I was 20 and I quit ballet.
Oh.
So I kept trying to come back to class and I just kept my toe, my groin area, like my inner thigh, was tore it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't come back. So that was probably the most depressing year of my life when I was 20.
Mhm.
Okay. I was just about to ask you, how did that make you feel? You were doing something you really love, and now your body's sort of, I describe it as betraying you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's how I would feel. So how was that for you? Depressing. What were you
Very
doing?
depressing. And because I returned to my angry kid persona kind of because except a more mature level of depression, where I could really like be more depressed as an adult.
Right.
Really understood my depression then.
Right.
But as a kid, I guess we figured out like, as a kid, I didn't really know I wasn't finding my true talent. I guess it was so built up inside me, like this frustration that I couldn't find that. And then I found it and I did it for years.
Yeah.
I was in ballet for technically 6 years.
Wow.
I used to go to the ballet every night, New York City Ballet. They would allow the students, and the manager of the theater had a big crush on me, this old guy.
Yeah.
So he'd always give me seats. He'd give me like whatever seats I wanted.
Nice.
So I'd like go out to dinner with him. So I owe him about 400 dinners because I never won. Yeah. So, but I got the best seats,
That's awesome.
And
That must have been amazing.
Yeah. So it was a great, cultural experience.
So you get your GED, but you
Right.
end up
Very
getting injured. You can't do ballet anymore. This is
Yeah,
Negative
I found
time in
what I
your
wanted to do. You know, first I found popping,
Right.
which got me interested. And I didn't really know if I didn't look at it as like a future profession,
Mhm.
but that went right into ballet. That
Into
segued
ballet,
into
yeah.
ballet. Boom. This is what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
I found it. I knew what I wanted to be when I grow up when I was 14.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
You know,
Now
I didn't
that-
know usually you have to retire in your 30s and find something else, but I wasn't worried about that at that
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're in this transition period because that has, it's gone away because limitations physically.
Like your life is altered at this point.
Yeah.
This is what you want to do, and now you're injured. You can't do it anymore. So
I have
What
nothing
now?
in my mind. I'm nothing now. You know, like, it's just like life is over at this point. And to top it off, I lost my virginity that year. I know it's late, 20 years old, but I lost my virginity.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was scared to lose it in high school. I just felt like I was going to do a bad job, and then rumor would spread. But like after high school, you can flirt with 1 million women a day, and no one finds out that you're getting rejected all day, or you're
Right.
And people think you're a stud because you're always with a different girl. They don't even know you got rejected by 10,000 women every day. But they see you with a beautiful girl. It's like I put the work in, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
That the low,
But,
the averages, you averaged out, right? You ran the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, look, I really lost my virginity. Well, I didn't really, but I lied and said I lost it at 16 to all my friends. To
Right.
a counselor that was 22 at camp. I made up some whole story. I was teaching how to dance, and all of a sudden we just went at it, and boom. So now I didn't have to worry about my friends pressuring me to lose my virginity. I already lost it at 16. That was a lie.
Right.
Yeah.
20, I actually lost it.
Mhm.
And right when I'm injured at that age, I fell in love with her, and she broke up with me to move to California. So I was a mixture of that and not knowing what I'm going to do with my life. It was,
That's
I don't
hell.
know if it's suicidal depression, but maybe I was close.
That's
Well, you're at like this place where you're all the things that you love. It's like nothing is working out for seemingly that's where you're at. Like nothing, there's nothing left. What are you going to do now? The girl that you want to be with is gone. Ballet is over. And so you're at this like crossroads.
physically and emotionally broken, because that's a really,
It's heavy.
it's a heavy place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because health is everything too. I mean, if you can't work out or you can't, you're not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the people that aren't healthy find happiness because it seems almost impossible.
Yeah. And then you're dealing with the broken heart. So you can't do physical things to get your mind off of it. So you're just wallowing in this.
Yeah, I can't do anything. I was working out on my upper body. I just couldn't dance. But I was at the gym regularly,
Mm-hmm.
I was strong, but dance was over.
Yeah.
My attention getting was over. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Okay.
Like, it's just, I was playing pool. I started playing billiards when I got my first injury
Mm.
at 17, 18. I started going to this pool hall. I think it was called Julian's at first in downtown, whatever. And I got so addicted to pool. I played every day. I managed pool halls. And from 18 to 24, I was playing up to 10 hours a day. So that's what kept I was depressed in the pool hall, but I got good at pool quick. I got really good because that's all I cared about.
Yeah.
Be the next person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I win a game of pool, I didn't feel good. I just kept me neutralized.
Yeah.
When I lost, I was fucking miserable.
Right. Gotcha.
I was pretty much like McEnroe. I don't know if you remember him playing.
Yes.
Yeah, but I was like him. I was like him when I played tennis too. I mean, I was super angry all the time, but like I got good. I was better than anyone I started with. I was very competitive. But then I got injured. Then I hurt my wrist at like a boxing gym. I started going to a boxing gym too when I was 20.
Mm-hmm.
I was so depressed. And it was funny because I had my pit bull then, my girlfriend in the boxing gym, and my girlfriend's name was Adrian. I don't know if you saw the movie Rocky or not. My girlfriend's name's Adrian, and my black pit bull's name was Apollo.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
Boxing, my girlfriend's name's Adrian, and I named the dog not after Apollo Creed. I named the dog after the ballet Apollo.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
That's hilarious.
It was so.
You can't make this up. You can't make this up.
No, so, and then I hurt my wrist. I already hurt my wrist training with this guy from my neighborhood. It was like the best street fighter you'll ever see in your life. I don't want to mention names, but he was a nightmare. But he made me hit his speed bag wrong, and the speed bag was full of sand and steel. It wasn't a normal speed bag. He trained like an ancient warrior, So I hit it wrong once, and all these thugs are there, the two twins that I got in a fight with, snapping when we were younger. They're like, they keep hitting it, bro. And so I'm hitting over the bad wrist. And then my wrist never got better, but I still went to the boxing gym and I was able with tape to do it. But then he had me training, overextending my elbow, and I got tendonitis. And then because of the tendonitis, I was compensating and I hurt my right shoulder and everything was bad. So then I couldn't even play pool anymore. By 24, I quit pool. Like that's a game for old people.
Yeah.
That's what old people do when they can't barely walk or do anything. Like, I guess I'll play pool. I'm so injured I can't play pool. So I stopped playing pool at 24. It's sad. I wanted to be a pro. You know, I want to be a pro as a hobby.
Yeah.
I would have gotten there probably by about 30. I felt my progression would have been 30-ish.
Wow. So what are you doing now then? You're in this place where you obviously you're depressed, you're injured. What's next? What happens?
Yeah, what happens next?
Now you're an adult. You're living on your own, right?
Yeah. No, I was living with mommy. But I moved out.
You moved out?
No, I moved out. Was I? Yeah, around then. No, I did.
You wanted a pit bull. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I didn't live with my mom. Yeah.
Okay.
I lived in 57th Street. I had a roommate who was in New York City Ballet. He inspired the girl to come back to the house that night to take. He didn't know it was my virginity, but it ended up being my virginity. We're still friends, by the way. So I just lived out that year, and then at 20. So when I was working at the pool hall, there was this bartender from Stand Up New York Comedy Club named Gordon, who used to come up to the pool hall and play, and he'd bring comedians with him. This is starting when I was 18. And he brought this comedian named Sue Kalinsky up there, and I became friends with her. You know, I always thought of comedians, these magically funny people. Yeah. But she was very normal. You know, she was just a normal person, and she wasn't really cracking jokes. We were both joking around, whatever. Right. So that kind of like sat in my subconscious, like, you know, that it came out years later that you don't have to be this magically genius, weird, funny man to be a comedian. You just got to be smart and fun, you know?
Yeah.
And then, so he brought me to a comedy club, Stand Up New York, which was blocks away from the pool hall I worked at, which was called 21 Billiards over Fairway on 75th Street. Stand Up New York was on 78th. So he brought me up there. I watched the show. I remember this kid from my neighborhood, this guy from my neighborhood, Greer Barnes, who's a big comedian. He was on the show. It was like his first weekend night that night. And I remember like, okay, this is cool. I still wasn't thinking I'm going to be a comedian. I was 18 then. Then when I was about 20, Gordon again brought a comedian to Amsterdam Billiard Club, where I used to play at a lot. And that comedian, you know, was a big comedian in the circuit. He wasn't famous yet, but he was a very big New York City comedian. You know, his name is Jon Stewart. We all know Jon Stewart, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So Jon Stewart, we're playing pool, and I'm like, this guy's normal too. He's not cracking any jokes or, you know what I mean? He's just playing pool. We're hanging out. So that really kind of gave me a confidence. You know, I started to slowly think about comedy and stuff. And then I finally said to myself, you know, fuck it. I think I'm gonna try to do stand-up.
Really?
So for like 6 months to a year. Now I'm like 21. I guess I started when I was 22. So I was like, I start writing down all my thoughts and trying to put together a 6-minute act. And I finally got it together, and I needed, like, I never talked in school. I never did oral reports in front of the class. I never talked in front of more than my friends. I was petrified to talk in front of people.
Yeah.
Probably because I didn't do my homework and I didn't know what the fuck I'd be talking about. If I was good at something, I was super confident.
Yeah.
But I wasn't at all with that, you know?
Yeah. That makes sense.
5th grade, by the way, 5th grade, let me brag a little bit. 5th grade, my teacher was taught calligraphy to the kids, and I was the best in the class at calligraphy.
Really?
She do most of the special invitations to the 5th grade graduation.
Yeah.
He had me do those. I was the teacher's pet for calligraphy.
Oh,
I was just good eye-hand coordination. I think that helped me with pool.
Wow.
Even in basketball,
Yeah.
I suck at playing basketball on a team. I never played team sports like basketball.
Mhm.
But when we played just around the world or just shoot courtesy,
Yeah.
I was never missing. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I had good eye-hand coordination, and I think that was with calligraphy too. I was very
That's awesome.
controlled.
That's interesting. Fun
In
fact.
camp, I won the trophy for shooting the 22 rifles.
Yeah.
So I get my act together finally. I finally like, fuck it, I'm gonna do the hardest thing, which is to talk in front of people. I think Seinfeld had a joke, something like the number one fear for people is public speaking, and number two is death.
Yeah.
People are more scared to speak at their funeral than to die, you know?
Yes.
But that's kind of like, you know, I was petrified.
Yeah.
But I was super confident in my funny game.
Yeah.
But that gave me the confidence to say, fuck it, do it. And I was hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like, I need to do something, and I can't dance anymore. And the comedy could be it.
Follow us for more interesting conversations and more special guests. And check us out at asoulsquest.com.